Good morning and welcome. We've been talking as we've been welcoming people into the Zoom room here at Beacon about the snow. Whether you're out on the East Coast or the West Coast, there's bits of snow for some of us. And the gifts to the land of the snow and the rain, the gifts of the first peoples that wherever we are, who have been the stewards of these lands since time immemorial. We want to acknowledge that today. I'm Reverend Meg Roberts, and it's my pleasure to be the minister here with Beacon Unitarian Church. I haven't seen any guests or newcomers yet, but there may be some that have just joined us, so a special welcome to you. And I'm going to put into the chat some link to our order of service, and also there's a forum, we call it the Beacon Connecting Forum, on our homepage, beaconunitarian.org. And if you haven't yet filled it out and would like to, it's a way to help connect with us. You can indicate if you would like to get our weekly update, Beacon This Week, as well as our monthly newsletter. And we also want to offer a very special welcome to our families. It's so wonderful to have all ages, and we have a special program because we know many of the kids for Zoom just isn't as effective a way to be together. And so instead, Ashley Cole, our Director of Religious Explorations, is created monthly packets, and she's also created a Mystery Buddies program that she's rolling out. So if you're interested in more information, I'm just going to put some more information in the chat here. And if you don't know how to access the chat, if you're on a computer, if you take your cursor to the bottom of the screen, there should be on the toolbar there an option for chat. If you're on another device, you may just have to explore around to find it. If not, you can find the information on our webpage. One thing that we've been finding about the chat function is that in the service, if we're in a time of meditation or if someone's in the middle of sharing something, it might be useful just to pause sharing ideas. If I'm speaking and it's during the reflection, feel free to add comments as we go. And if you find it distracting, you can also deselect the chat and just it may pop up a little bit at the bottom, but you can just ignore it if you find it distracting. And I saw Sue pop up a moment ago, so let's do that. Let's sing. Our first congregational song is Come, Come, Whoever You Are. And we'll sing it twice through. Often when we're together in the same room, we sing it as a round. So for those of you who like to sing it around, we'll stay muted besides Sue, and you can just sing it as a round where you are. But if you don't want to, feel free to just join in with Sue. And as I said, we'll sing it twice through. Sue, do you want to take it away?
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, 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 whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come yet again, come, come yet again, come.
We're going to do our chalice lighting words in unison this morning. And they're written by Christine Robinson. Heather has them up on the screen, so I hope you'll join me in saying them together. We gather this hour as people of faith, with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. So if you've got a chalice there and want to light it, please do. There. This song that Ming Shren is going to sing also comes from our hymnal. It's called Our Faith is But a Single Gem. And he's going to sing the first 3 verses. And the reason why he's singing it and we're going to be able to listen is because I just want us to be able to relax and just take in the words as well as the beautiful music. Ming Shren?
Our faith is but a single gem upon a rosary of beads, the thread of truth which runs through them supports our very human needs. Confucian wisdom, Christian care, the Buddhist way of self-control, the Muslims' daily call to prayer are proven pathways to the goal. From many lips in every age, the truth eternal is proclaimed by Western saint and Eastern sage, are proven pathways, however named.
Thank you. I have a reflection I'd like to share with you about our theme this month, our free and responsible search for truth and meaning. So here I am in a yoga class. The instructor is sharing something about the way she understands the world spiritually. And I find myself cringing. I notice that my stomach clenches and it's as if my brain has a door and it slams shut. And then I remember that I'm doing a service on Sunday about free and responsible search for truth and meaning. The fact that Unitarians affirm freedom of religious thought. So why do I have to agree with the beliefs of my yoga teacher? Why can't I support her in her freedom of her spiritual beliefs, of the truth as she knows it and lives it? People are drawn to Unitarian Universalist community because it allows people to share the truth as they understand it, to hear others' understanding of truth, and to learn together. So how can we do this in a supportive way, not a critical or judgmental one? In our Soul Matters groups, we've been practicing listening to each other's thoughts, feelings, and experiences. There's a variety of theological views there, from atheism, agnosticism, various forms of theism. Part of what people have said is that they found it so liberating that in this particular context, it's not discussion-based with crosstalk. It's a chance for people just to be heard so they can share deeply. It's a non-judgmental space to allow people to explore what they're thinking and to allow sometimes their wanderings and wonderings to come out without having critical questions asked. There's, as we say in our covenant, no fixing, no saving, no setting each other straight. Because of the society that we're steeped in, debate is an important skill. And I enjoy a good debate. when we all decide together that that's what we want to do. It's a way to help clarify thoughts and figure out what, as a group, sometimes we want to go forward with. But when debate is about trying to change someone's mind, for example, my mind about the way that I view reality, it can be problematic. Jessica Motherwell McFarland from the North Shore Unitarian Church, she's an equity, diversity, and inclusion consultant. At a recent Canadian Unitarian Council online workshop about anti-racism, in our covenant, she included empathetic listening. She said, empathetic listening is not done with the intent to respond. Instead, we listen in a way that moves us beyond thinking of what this means to you. Instead, what does this mean to the person who is sharing? Of course, when you look at our other principles, when someone's view of reality extends into believing that, for example, the white race is supreme above all others, and then acts on those beliefs to hurt others from other identity groups, then I would challenge that person's worldview. It can be harmful to have impact on others when we act on them in ways that are destructive. Of course, when we're talking about truth, there are various definitions. There is an understanding of truth that talks about facts, that looks at how we generate knowledge and information in our society. It's established through scientific and academic processes, ways that try and support a healthy debate amongst various findings and points of view. It comes with an understanding that new findings or experiences may result in facts changing and points of view being shifted. All of this supports the growth of knowledge. Then there's the understanding of truth that has more to do with how we understand the nature of reality itself. As my colleague, Kenneth Collier, writes about this principle, I must ask the following questions. What is truth? Not in the sense of science and philosophy, but in the sense of religion. Where does meaning lie? How can we find truth and meaning within our own lives? What makes our search for truth and meaning responsible and disciplined? What is the truth that heals a broken life? When I consider truth in that light, then what are those things that help me give direction to where I put my time and efforts? In the last couple of weeks, as I've been working on 2 celebrations of life, one for Jean Donaldson and one for Bob Thompson, I recall the many times as a lay chaplain and as a minister when the memorial services highlight the things that people hold most dear. Certainly, achievements are often listed, and they're important. They help us understand what that person dedicated their lives to and what their efforts contributed. But again and again, in these kinds of services, I hear family and friends talk about the relationships that they had with the one who died, how they served their communities, how kind they were to others. And believe me, every time for me that I am part of one of those services, it provides an opportunity for me to re-examine my own life, to look at those core truths that I hold as true in that religious sense. And if my relationships aren't what I want them to be at that time, it's an opportunity to look again at how to build them or repair those that I can, to hold love, to offer care, both given and received. Sometimes that's with a family member, sometimes with a friend, sometimes with both. Sometimes that repair is possible, sometimes not. But the opportunity to think about what our core truths are and how we act on them so that when our time comes in that cycle of life where we've died, what do those who are dear to us remember about how we lived our lives? I have 2 magnets on my fridge that I get to look at every day. They help to remind me of what I value. They are both have words from Ralph Waldo Emerson, who started out as a Unitarian minister and then helped to found the Transcendentalist movement. The first one is as follows: to laugh often and much, to win the respect of intelligent people and the affection of children, to earn the appreciation of honest critics and endure the betrayal of false friends, to appreciate beauty, to find the best in others, to leave the world a bit better, whether by a healthy child or a garden patch, to know even one life has breathed easier because you have lived. This is to have succeeded. And then, in contrast, the other magnet reminds me that truth isn't always something that's static. It changes over time. And so each day holds new promise for growth and learning and loving and living. Emerson also wrote, "Finish each day and be done with it. You've done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities have crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. You shall begin it serenely and with too high a spirit to be encumbered with your old nonsense." When I first was sent the video this spring called The Great Realization that we watched earlier in the service, what moved me was the vision of the world as we could choose to make it. Calling your mom, running as children run, moving with that sheer joy of it. Time with family, time with friends, time with ourselves. Some truth as I know it. Of course, my life on earth is finite. Part of the cycle of life that ends with all of us in death. So what will I do with the time in between? I also hold as true, of course, that we are interdependent. So as the video spoke, how can we help the trees breathe more easily when the restrictions shift from COVID? How will I adopt my behavior so that it's not just a matter of my convenience, but a matter of our planet, the survival of many species, as well as humans? A verse of the hymn says, "Confucian wisdom, Christian care, the Buddhist way of self-control, the Muslims' daily call to prayer are proven pathways to the goal." As Unitarians, we have the good fortune from our spiritual ancestors to have a variety of sources to draw from to find truth about the nature of reality, as each of us understand it. There's the world religions, science, philosophy, humanism, earth-based spiritual practices. There's those direct experiences of mystery and wonder, like even seeing beautiful snowflakes drifting down. There's people whose words and deeds speak the truth to power, who inspire us to work for justice with compassion and love. What sources do you draw from to find your truths? And how has your understanding of truth influenced how you live? I draw from all the sources that I described, and I understand myself as a mystic panentheist, which means to me that I've experienced a creative transforming and sustaining power in the universe with moments of oneness, and those mystical senses of union have inspired me in that sense of being interdependent. And because we are so interdependent, then I'm called through compassion to work to create a more fair and peaceful and caring world. That's how my understanding of truth then influences how I live in the choices I make in what I do for a living, how I am to my neighbor. It helps me also to think about the ways I need to change my behavior as we come out of this pandemic, hopefully sometime later this year. So I have time now to consider the choices that I want to make in the future. So whether we describe ourselves as a mystic atheist, an agnostic theist, a Jewish Buddhist, a seeker, or simply as a Unitarian or Universalist, we all have a place here in this community. By empathetic listening to each other, we create a space of acceptance, not judgment. The third verse of the hymn says that truth is proclaimed by Western and Eastern wise ones, whatever the tradition calls them, whether saints, sages, teachers, and all the good, however named, that come out of that wisdom. Whatever our beliefs, whatever the truth as we understand it, it's how we live that we will be known for all the good. So how has your understanding of truth influenced how you live? We're going to have some time in small groups of 3, perhaps 4, to share the answer to that question. How has your understanding of truth influenced how you live? You may be more comfortable to talk about a particular insight about the nature of reality and how it's influenced your choices. And if you're not sure, if you can't think of anything in that way, maybe there's one of the Unitarian principles that is a core truth for you of how you choose to live your life that you'd like to talk about. We'll each have 3 minutes. So we're going to pause for a moment to let ourselves think of how we'd answer that question. How has your understanding of truth influenced how you live? We'll pause for a moment. Susan is going to help us with our breakout rooms. If you haven't been in one before, we've set it so that you can choose to accept the invitation to go into the room. But if for whatever reason you decide today that you don't want to do the small group conversation and you'd rather just reflect on it on your own, you don't have to accept that invitation that pops up on the screen. And if you'd rather just stay in the big room and I'll be staying here, then please do. So the question again, I'll put it in the chat, is how has your understanding of truth influenced how you live? I'll send a message after 3 minutes so that you'll know to move to the next person. If you are 4 people in the room, then just you'll have a couple of minutes each, and I'll ask you just to do your own timing and helping each other. Make sure you each have a chance to share. So I'll ask Sue to open our small conversation rooms. And again, it's not a crosstalk, it's just deeply listening, empathetically listening to each other as we listen to each other's truth. Thanks, Sue. Suze, you can open the rooms. So welcome back to the main room. I hope you in your small groups had a place to speak and be heard respectfully and practicing being non-judgmental. If there were any challenges, feel free to let me know afterwards, because we're practicing. Sometimes we'll get it, sometimes we'll miss it, and we'll keep practicing. To finish this reflection, I recall the words that we spoke in our chalice lighting, that as Unitarians and Universalists, we light a beacon of hope that is both a chalice but also within us and together as a community. It's our sign of our quest for truth and meaning. We do this in celebration of the life that we share together. May we hold this beacon up, not only for ourselves, but for each other in our understanding of truth, and to be there for each other, that we carry the larger truth of our principles out into the world to be of service. So might it be. And we have an important ritual. I'll ask Heather to bring up our slide that reminds us that we share the plate. And a special thank you to all who already donate, so many of you, through ongoing donations that happen electronically each month. That's how we really keep the boat afloat. And for any who want to make a special donation, the Sharing the Plate, half goes to Beacon and half goes to the Sharing the Plate recipient this year, which is New West Hospice Society. Sue will lead us in the sung response. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
We are, of course, grateful for those who are supporting the service behind the scenes and those who you also see in the service. And these slides let you know who's there today. Of course, we offer especially a thank you to all of you for being here to share the experience with us. Before the closing words, I want to highlight next Sunday's service, January 31st, and our special guest, Donovan Hayden. Donovan is a Black activist and artist and is currently an MA student in Theatre and Performance Studies in Toronto. Donovan has had an opportunity to engage with Unitarians and anti-racism work on both sides of the border. He'll be talking about anti-racism work as spiritual practice. I encourage you all to join him and support and welcome our special guest. After today's service, of course, we have our coffee hour conversations, a time to check in, and small groups that will have conversation about either today's service topic, the theme of the month, or just a general conversation group. So after a 10-minute break, we'll gather again together. Here are our closing words by Robert Mabry Doss. For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found. and the courage to take it step by step. If you'd like to extinguish the chalice with me, wherever you are, and Sue will lead us in singing Carry the Flame.
Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
Thanks, Sue. Love that image of the chalice with us all here. Thanks again to all of you for joining us. If you're not able to stay for the coffee time, have a good week.